The heart of every man craves a great adventure, but life doesn't usually feel that way. Jesus speaks of narrow gates and wide roads, but the masculine journey is filled with many twists and turns. So how do we keep from losing heart while trying to find the good way when life feels more like a losing battle than something worth dying for? Grab your gear and come on a quest with your band of brothers who will serve as the guides in what we call the masculine journey. The masculine journey starts here now.
Welcome to Masculine Journey. We are glad to have you with us today. We're glad to just be alive today. According to Darren, a few of us didn't make it last week. We got rolled over by some type of rock or something.
You did. It was
Yeah.
a foundation stone.
Yeah, a foundation stone killed three of us. So
Well, isn't the cornerstone supposed to crush? So
there's a connection there somewhere.
if I knew the Bible, I could tell you exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah, well, you'll get there. We are not continuing the foundation series today, and we may actually be done with the foundation series. We just don't know yet. So we're praying about that and seeing what God says. He might go, yeah, you're done. Or we might have another one next week. But we are talking, when the foundation series is things that's foundational to our ministry, things we believe as a ministry, Masculine Journey. Today's topic is foundational to all Christians. And so, Jim, you had the topic for this week, if you want to tell us about it.
And at the time, since we are humans and communication sometimes leaves something to be desired, I was thinking of foundations, and I didn't know about it was of the ministry for how many months have we been
Yeah.
But I wasn't the only one that had some communication fun this week.
Earth to, what is it? Earth to
Earth-
what? Major Tom,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Is that going to be our bump?
Yeah, it could be.
What came to me as a topic, and this was came out of a conversation, but on any given day, if you ask me my favorite chapter in the Bible, it's First Corinthians 13. Sometimes it's something else. Isaiah 53, I can't get through without crying, so that's a favorite too for some reason. But there are many that, and it's sort of like having a favorite child. We probably shouldn't, but I do, and I won't say I have it with my children because there's a long shot chance one of them's listening. But anyway.
Well, if they are, it's them for sure, right?
Yeah, they're the ones if they're listening. But the close of that chapter is faith, hope, love, or if you got a King Jimmy, charity, which isn't a very good word for English, but faith, hope, love, these three, the greatest of these is love. And that just hit me as foundational. And at any level, that is our foundation. And I want to start just by going over the English, because we misuse faith, hope, and love, especially the latter in the English language all the time. Are you a person of faith? Well, I try to be, but that doesn't really mean anything if you're not discussing what you have faith in. And a lot of people say, oh, I'm a person of faith, but they might have faith in their pocketbook. Hope. I hope, I don't care about sports, so I'm not going to use that as an example, but I hope I can start eating ice cream again soon because I love ice cream. Yeah, is that really what we're talking about with hope in 1 Corinthians? No. And love, probably the most misunderstood of all, and I've got the prize on this one. Every time a little girl, and I mean that all the way back to kindergarten, paid attention to me, I was in love.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in love, infatuation, crushes, those sort of things are not what we're talking about with love. And the word in the Greek in the New Testament is agape, and that's the love God has for us. So the bottom line was, this to me is foundational for everything in life, and you said it well, Sam. So the first clip happens to be Sam.
Yeah.
Because we like to have Sam first because that makes the most sense.
Well, that's when I'm paying the most attention. So, yeah. The one thing I want to add to what you're saying, if you look back about how the enemy attacks you, I promise you it's at one of those three levels most of the time. Or he's going after those three levels, right? Because if you can steal your faith, you don't have hope, right? Because we're going to hope in. If you can steal your hope, you'll question your faith. And so he's constantly after trying to break us down from these three positive strongholds that should be in our life. And so I have the first one because I chose a clip on faith. This was originally about a 4-minute clip broken down into 2 minutes. So you're going to hear some starts and stops along the way. There's some things you can edit and some things you can't. But just listen to the words. And it's from the movie Castaway. And it's nothing to do with when he's on the island because it's really, really long. During that part of the movie, you could take a nap and wake up and he's still on the island.
And quiet.
And quiet, yeah. But anyway, this is when he gets back to his home in Memphis and he's talking with one of his friends about how he started to believe certain things on the island. And let's just see where it goes.
Because I was never going to get off that island. I was going to die there, totally alone. And I was going to get sick or I was going to get injured or something. The only choice I had, the only thing I could control was when and how and where that was going to happen. So I made a rope and I went up to the summit to hang myself. I had to test it, of course. You know me. And the weight of the log snapped the limb of the tree. So I couldn't even kill myself the way I wanted to. I had power over nothing. And that's when this feeling came over me like a warm blanket. I knew somehow that I had to stay alive. Somehow. I had to keep breathing, even though there was no reason to hope. And all my logic said that I would never see this place again. So that's what I did. I stayed alive. I kept breathing. And then one day that logic was proven all wrong because the tide came in, gave me a sail. And now here I am. Talking to you. I have ice in my glass.
Yeah, I wanted to leave that last little part just because the things that you wouldn't realize you would miss, right? And so during the whole time, he's looking at this ice in his glass as he's talking to his friend. And so I think it's pretty cool. Faith was the one I picked for a lot of reasons, but this clip, the reason I chose it was I remember a time, and I've shared about it on the air before, I just don't remember the last time I did, but when I was in college, my dad died, and when I went to the funeral, well-meaning family and all that, would say things like "Well, you're the man now" and all those kinds of things, and I had to be strong for this sister, be strong for that person, and so I just shoved all my emotions down. I didn't do anything to deal with them, and they just kind of sat there waiting to come out. Well, not too long down the road, my best friend Bob's dad passed away, and so I didn't really want to go to the funeral because I knew I'd have to probably deal with some stuff. I wasn't sure, but I had to go for my friend. He's my best friend since college. And so I went, and when I'm there, the emotions start coming up, and it's everything I can do to sit there. And I don't openly remember praying, but I just remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't be here. And I heard God say, it'll be okay. And what Tom Hanks described there is I really felt like a warm blanket. It was just like, back in the day when you used to watch Nickelodeon, they had the ooze or whatever it was. It just started in my head. I had the kids of that age, right? But, it was just flowing down my body, and just as it went, it was just peace, right? And that thing, along with other things later, was huge for my faith because I wasn't really even asking for anything. But God still gave it to me. And when I listened to Tom Hanks there, he said some things that you have to think about. He said, even when there's no hope, even when logically it doesn't make sense, right? That's what you talk about when you talk about faith. You don't understand it, you believe it.
Well, I was just going to say faith, the short version of the definition of that is trusting God. Mm-hmm. If you have faith in your children, okay, that's trusting your children. But at that level, if you know he's there and you trust him, you can go through hell and make it. And hope does become critical, which I guess would be a pretty good segue into...
Not quite yet. We'll do that after the break.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. You can sit over here next week.
No, I can, but that's all I'd be doing is sitting.
No, I appreciate you trying to tee that up, but we'll go to there after the break. But when you think back at those Bible stories, though, that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, the way they said it originally, wasn't their names. I get that, but they had faith. Had Daniel in the lion's den. Right? They had faith. Logic would tell them, you're not in a good place. This isn't going to end well. So what else did they hold on to but their faith that God would either rescue them or he wouldn't, but it would be okay?
Yeah, even if he doesn't.
Yeah.
Even if.
Yeah, exactly. I can't hear you at all, Andy.
No?
No, I don't think your microphone's working. You might want to pull Harold's over.
All right.
No, there it is.
No.
Yeah, just don't touch it. Don't move. And you actually said something good there. I mean, and it didn't pick up. No, that's all right. We'll just,
infrequent.
You'll have to turn up your volume and go back and listen to it. Right. Anyway, any other thoughts on faith before we head into break? Anything that comes to mind, guys? Why that's an important thing for you? It's foundational afterward.
Well, it is. And maybe that's why everyone's stunned to silence right now. And we do have Robbie on the bench, and so he doesn't have a microphone, and you can always count on him having a good word to say. But not today. Going back to what faith is, it is something that is in the moment you are trusting God.
Right.
And what we're going to go to more with hope is that's trusting him with something down the road in the future. But it's not, I hope the Braves win. Hopefully they're not playing anymore. But anyway, it's that sort of thing. It's not that. It is knowing that God is going to take care of something in the future.
All right, you're meddling in my stuff now, Jim.
Braves.
Well, let's go. MasculineJourney.org. Go to MasculineJourney.org. We'll talk to you after the break.
What we have at our boot camp is something that makes you stronger and gives you the strength to go on your regular walk with God. It's something that will make you be bigger than you were when you got there.
I think I was 13 maybe in my first camp. I'm now 28. These look a lot different from when they looked back then. Back then it was a lot more finding direction, and it's still finding direction, but it's also being reminded of what that direction was and where did you lose it along the way, and let's reclaim that and take it into your next step. Talking about being fathered, I had a good dad, I had a great dad, and a lot of things were great, and you had your faults like anyone else, but I think I always told myself I don't necessarily need God's love because I'm okay. And that's what God's been working on with me for this camp is, hey, yeah, you do. You're not going to make it without me. And he's really just shown that he delights in me, and I am the apple of his eye. And just really being able to feel that this camp has been a lot different from anything I've felt.
Register today at masculinejourney.org.
Little more faith, faith that keeps believing the mountain moves. A little more hope, hope that's always knowing you'll get us through. A little more love, love that keeps on holding when life gets tough. Lord, we could all use a little more of faith, hope, and love.
Andy, that was you singing that. Well, good job, dude. You hit those high notes. Was awesome.
That was from High Road, and I just found it. Obviously, just searched faith, hope, and love. That's the only thing that really I thought hit everything. But it was a good definition. Yeah. I really liked it. I thought it was a good tune.
So that's two of us that have taken away your definition time.
Yeah, that's right. Apostle Paul would have been proud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm assuming because he wrote Corinthians is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was the originator.
I didn't know if he was a singer. I didn't remember seeing that in the Bible. I know he was a tent maker.
Not Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Okay, I just wasn't quite sure where that reference was coming from. Anyway, you have the next clip, and you've been accused of picking this clip because it has your name in it.
Yeah, maybe. It's always easy. There's other times I've done that for sure. So, so this clip is from Shawshank Redemption. Shout out to Darren who threw out some ideas on clips that would tap into this, and hope was really the word I kind of focused in on, and this is kind of why. Before I get to the clip is. To me, you hear, and I've heard John Eldredge talk about this a lot, is if the enemy gets your hope, everything else kind of goes down. And it's kind of like not the most talked about of the three, really. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, but I feel it kind of holds everything together. Because if you lose your hope, you don't really care about any individual receiving promises from God or seeing that through or trusting in Him, and you really don't really feel like loving about people because you've lost your hope. And it's just important. The Bible says faith is the substance of things hoped for, of evidence things not seen. Hope is really tied to faith, obviously, but I don't know. My perspective on it is I've talked to some people recently, and I've heard people, and you hear it at times when people have lost their hope. They're ready to give up. Some people are ready to take their life. Some people are ready to just give up on Christianity. Some people are ready to give up on their faith in Jesus because He didn't do exactly what they wanted to, or they're ready to give up on their spouse or whatever. And it's because things aren't happening the way I think they should, which is there's some maturity to get there, but also. I believe that the enemy does everything he possibly can to take our hope from us. Mm-hmm. And so in the Shawshank Redemption clip, Andy, who is like kind of he's like their motivator of the whole prison. He's really a leader, and he's just trying to get these guys to see, a positive thing. And he talks about hope whenever they're all stuck there. He's kind of giving a speech to the group, but then later on he refers back to that when he gets out, kind of escapes, rightfully so actually, because he wasn't really guilty, but then you've got Red, his friend, and he sends him a letter, and he's talking about this hope. Short clip, 30 seconds, but it talks about the power of hope and that it's good. It's good.
There's something inside they can't get to, that they can't touch. It's yours.
What are you talking about?
Hope.
Remember, Red, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this letter finds you, and finds you well. Your friend, Andy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what held him in there. I mean, he really had he got thrown in the hole after he played the music over the whole prison when he wasn't supposed to, took control of the warden's office or whatever. And, the guy was always looking at things positive, and it was the hope, I believe, that really drove him to be the man he did. And he really impacted his environment. And I think hope's going to do that if it resides in us.
Absolutely. Harold, you had something you wanted to add about the topic of hope?
Yeah, I've shared my definition before, but I have an algebraic expression for hope equals desire plus expectation. If you take either one of those away, you don't have hope. I may desire to be 6 feet 3 inches tall. I have zero expectation of that. Therefore, I have no hope.
No hope
of being more than like 5'6". And I have no desire to have a dump truck run over me. So there's no hoping for that either.
Right.
I think hope plays a very important role in our lives because it motivates us to seek other things that might seem to be beyond our reach. But with hope, we can reach out and grab a lot of those things.
Yeah, I like the point about desire. I had thought about that earlier, and I didn't even really, because you're right, desire's not it. I mean, desire's a part of it, but how you explain that equation makes a lot more sense. But it does play into it. If you have no desire towards anything, it's hard to hope. I mean, it's kind of the fuel. We all desire. God created us to desire, and a lot of times we think all we do is we're supposed to suppress those desires, but not so. We just are supposed to surrender those to Him. But good call.
Yeah, hope for me is faith is obviously the most important because of my faith. Everything comes from that, but hope is the most attacked for me above anything else because He attacks my hope in love. He attacks my hope in this, in that. You know, for the longest time, I was trying to kind of get to a better place in my finances, and every time I thought I got over the hill, the next thing happened. The car broke down, or this happened, or the air conditioning went out, or whatever it was, and it was just time after time after time, and I had to just keep telling myself to not lose hope.
Yep.
Because that's what the enemy's after. If he can get you to lose hope, you'll just go shrink away in a corner. You won't impact anyone else in your life, positively anyway. You'll probably impact them negatively, right? And then you may just say, what good am I to anybody? Yep. And that's where he gets them. And like you said, with suicides, that's usually what leads to it is there's hopelessness in the midst of it.
Yeah, I tell you, Job is the best story in the Bible to kind of make this point because he had all kinds of stuff hit him at the same time, and I think that's what the enemy was trying to do is prove to God that He's going to take his faith and his hope.
And at times Job did not sound like he had any hope, but he did keep faith, and that's what got him through that. Although, as you said, there's times that one carries the other. And love always needs to be part of that. I had a weird thought, which nobody's going to expect that from me, but Harold, if the dump truck did run over you, you might get to be 6'3".
That's true.
So sometimes hope and
it could lead to the
faith
desire.
can come together.
Yeah.
And wasn't Bugsy Mogs about 5'6"?
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could dunk a basketball. Yeah.
I don't remember Muggsy.
Muggsy Bogues, yeah.
Spud Webb did.
Spud Webb, yeah, absolutely. He was right in that range. Yeah, and the reason I didn't make fun of your height is the older I get, the closer I get to 5'6", because I've been shrinking for the last 3 years. And so I'm going to be there by at this rate by about 5 more years. I'll be right there.
I won't live long enough to break under 6, but I've gone from almost 6'9" to I'm lucky if I'm 6'6".
Now you're probably 6 foot on your knees. You're pretty tall, dude.
I do have a lot of torso.
You do. All right, so we have a few more minutes. Any thoughts on faith or hope that you want to leave people with on our regular show here?
My only thought is if you really want to get to the meat of, and we're going to go a lot to Darren for his thought-provoking question, which somebody thought was the topic.
Yep.
But come back for love and for discussing how they work together.
That question was one that I threw out to the whole team that was basically, if you're listening right now, think about this, the faith, hope, and the love. What happens if you remove any of those, right? We've said they're kind of a tripod, right? So you don't stand on 2 legs very well unless you're human. But the question I asked was, which one of those is the most critical to you personally? If we removed, one, how would that affect the other two? And it's different for each one of us. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no arguing with Scripture. It says love is the most important, right? However, I'm talking about you, right? In this position, in this point in your life. And so ask yourself, if you didn't have love in your life, would you be able to live out of faith or hope? If you didn't have hope, would you, and so How is that specifically playing out in your circumstance, your life right now? And, what would that look like if all three of those came together? What would it look like if one of them, a key one, was missing?
Yeah, like I said before, that's where I get attacked with hope, because I know the enemy realizes if I can get there, and Andy articulated this really well, that I'm not very loving when I don't have any hope. You kind of get to what's the point, right? It doesn't really matter, everything's meaningless. And so, you just kind of sit there, and then eventually it erodes the faith, because then what he'll do when you don't have hope, the enemy will go, where was God in this?
Right, yep.
Yeah, see, God left you abandoned.
Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't there for you when you needed him.
Yep.
It's just a ploy, and it's different for me than it is for you or for Jim or for Darren or Harold or any of us, right? The enemy knows what works with you.
Yep. Good place for the orphan spirit to kick in, too.
Yeah, we had to get that reference in. It's been like a minute.
He has a hard time not getting that reference in.
He does.
He's very good at it.
Yeah. So, faith. What do you believe in? What's the faith that you have? Ask yourself this week just to say, hey, what are those things I truly have faith in? And don't just ask yourself, write them down. Try to say, okay, God, when I am really, really honest with myself, not the Sunday school church answer, Jesus, that should be the answer, but is that your answer? Right? And just take an inventory. What are the things that I hope for in my life? What are those things I'm afraid to hope for in my life because I'm afraid it'll be taken from me? You talk about suppressing it.
Yeah.
That's just another ploy of the enemy saying, hey, you can't even desire to hope.
Right, yeah.
Right, because you just get hurt. Go to masculinejourney.org, register for the upcoming boot camp. It's an advanced camp, so you have to have went to a previous camp somewhere else or with one of us. Again, that's masculinejourney.org, and that boot camp is the weekend before Thanksgiving.